everybody. Welcome back to episode 11 of the Beggars Canyon Boys, where we are going through the entire history of the amazing Star Wars universe and its many components. I'm Jackson, joined as always by our illustrious Padawan learner guest, Ryan. He's being exposed to Star Wars head first, and we've come out the other side of a lot of middling Ewok related content, and we're on to more adult things today.
There will be no Ewoks today.
No.
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
Why would there
No, I think
any mention or even visage of an Ewok
you
today?
said something, made some joke last week about how you were gonna maybe make an Ewok character for the role-playing game.
I know, but the joke in that is that we've done so much Ewok content that it would be absolutely ridiculous to come with more Ewok content.
Yes, I do agree with you there. But no Ewoks today at all. Actually, we could have done Ewoks if we played the other version. So for today, we are talking games really.
Let's go.
We're in the late 80s here. In 1987, we had the West End Games Star Wars role-playing game come out. West End Games had like the tabletop games license for Star Wars at the time. Role-playing game, super interesting. Also in 87, a Famicom-only Japanese Star Wars video game made by Namcot, division of Namco, came out. And then in 88, the Assault on Hoth game came out. But also the Assault on Hoth game had another like pretty much identical game that was like the Battle of Endor. So I have to say we could have played that version instead and had Ewoks. But
we should at some point. Actually, I think it'd be fun to play it.
I'm definitely down to play it. But I figured for talking about them, they're kind of the same game.
Yeah. I wonder if that just lumps like rebel pieces and troops with like it makes the light soldiers like the Ewoks in that instance. Or if it makes it actually just like Ewoks versus Imperials. Yeah,
I'm not sure. You may have like Ewoks as the light troop and a rebel trooper as the heavy troop or something like that.
I'm just curious about how they integrate into the system.
Yeah, me too. Or maybe, there's like a secret Wicket card that you place on one of your speeder bikes and he can use low-grade magic points.
Dude, you're making a whole new game, it seems, but it sounds pretty cool. Honestly, I don't know if there is, but it would be surprising if there's not a more Ewok-focused game somewhere down the line. Or maybe it missed out in the time where, like, thered be a good crossover for, like, a very kid-style game that also has very Ewok-centric Star Wars attachments to it.
There are, like, a bunch of, like, little kids board games that we're just not even talking about because they're, like,
like Candyland stuff.
Yes, like, like that kind of thing. So I think there is like an Ewoks board game that's like that.
Okay.
But then also, spoiler, in the Wizards of the Coast, like Star Wars miniatures games that starts coming out in the early 2000s.
Wow, I didn't even know they did Star Wars miniature stuff, Wizards of the Coast.
Oh yeah, for a long time, for like over a decade.
Wow. Guess they don't have that IP anymore for miniatures?
No, they don't. But yeah, like Legion and Shatterpoint are the Star Wars miniatures games going on right now. Shatterpoint, I don't even know if that's Fantasy Flight, but I know Fantasy Flight has the license for board games right now, but it might not be exclusive. I don't know. But all that to say, in that miniatures game, there's so many different factions and like characters that you can build a little army of, and I had not enough to ever make like a good Ewok group, but I always wanted to. I had Logray and I had one other one, maybe like Chief Chirpa or something, and then they also just have like generic like Ewok Scout or whatever as like a common troop or whatever.
Were these non-painted or painted miniatures?
They're painted.
Okay.
This was like...
That seems really fun, honestly. I would like love to have some of those.
It's awesome. I still have all mine.
That's cool.
It's like... how most miniatures games are sold in like a box that would be like Dothraki screamers or whatever, and you see all the miniatures you're getting on the cover of the box. It's like 6 or 8 unpainted guys, like 4 heavies and 4 lights or something like that.
Yeah.
The Star Wars miniatures, Legion is like that. Shatterpoint, I think, is like that. But this Star Wars miniatures was like blind boxes, like a collectible thing where each box, I think you got 7 or 8 guys, and then like 5 or 6 like common and uncommon, and then 1 rare or very rare every time. So it was kind of like more like Pokemon card packs.
Ooh, let's buy some and open some.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I'm sure they're probably really expensive, a boxed version of it, because it's all out of print now.
Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of Star Wars material and stuff out there. Maybe there's a little bit of oversaturation in certain markets. I mean,
you're definitely right that not everything is valuable.
Yeah. I only say that because like a couple of years ago for my birthday, I got some X-Men cards that were sealed from like, I don't know if it was the 90s or so, but they were like older ones that were really cool that I opened.
Nice.
And I was like, they must have been inexpensive enough because like the person got me like 5 packs of them. I do bet there are some that may be more expensive later on that, or maybe not. Maybe there's autograph cards. I know they do that sometimes with like certain franchises. I don't know if Star Wars would do that. It seems like ripe to do it for them.
Yeah. No. Actually, I'm certain that they do. Now that I think about it, I was just looking through this book that was like the Star Wars year by year, just really, really helpful book for making the roadmap for this podcast. And in there, the pages are just like, like 1990, all these things happened for Star Wars, and then like some other, culturally relevant things that might have influence on Star Wars media, or like other things that George Lucas was doing, or blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then in one of them, it was like, whatever company releases their line of like signature cards, where they release like 50 of Han, Luke, and Leia, all signed by the 3 actors and stuff.
Yeah, I want one of those.
Yeah.
We gotta get one of those in the podcast.
Can
we get one of those as a guest?
Can
we get one of those as a guest?
As a guest? The cards?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they'll have maybe a lot of interesting insight into like the factories that package trading cards.
Hey, and I mean, theoretically, if the trading card company isn't lying and they didn't just use one of those like signature machines, touched by the actors themselves.
True, very true. So they would have the stories they could tell.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, what do you think those 3 were talking about while they were all signing it right there?
You think they were all in the same room while they were doing it?
Oh yeah, that must be the most efficient way for it to be done. What you think?
Especially in like the mid '90s, like when they're not working together anymore.
Okay, fine, but let's flip it. You think that they sent the card individually to the 3 of them? They mailed it to Han Solo all the way in the Millennium Falcon. They mailed it to Leia. Mailed it to Luke while he was visiting Tatooine.
Guess you're right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Think of the light years that would take.
Yeah, much easier for them to all come to a central location.
Exactly, yeah. Just everyone meet on the Life Day plane of existence.
Yeah. You don't even have to travel. Just get your orb out.
Yeah, really.
Wow, that's a good point. All that to say, I guess this is the beginning of more quote-unquote serious Star Wars gaming. I think both tabletop and video game. I guess, I'll say I'm not like a huge fan of the video game that we played today, but
I think it's bad. It is in my opinion.
Yeah, but
like from a perspective of trying to play the game, even I think it's like difficult and unforgiving.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I absolutely playing it using save states and stuff, because there's no continues. If you die 3 times, you start the whole entire game over, no matter how far into the game you are. And there are points where I was like, holy shit, if I was a kid and I just like had this game on the NES or Famicom in Japan, and there's no way to make a save state, and this is like one of 2 games that I own, like I'm probably playing it a lot, even if I'm only doing the first level over and over again.
Yeah.
If you got to like level 5 and just like mistimed a jump and hit a spike or something, and you got the freaking Darth Vader breathing game over screen. I mean, I know this is not a revolutionary thought, and like this is just what people dealt with when it was this era of video games. But to start the whole game over, oh my god.
Yeah, but also like I also wanted to give them the out of like this is just the era of gaming. But also there's games that are from the same era that are like that, but are designed so much better. So they're still super difficult. This one is unfairly unforgiving, I think. Like there are instances where like parts of the map, like you can't differentiate like what is dangerous, what is not dangerous. Like,
absolutely.
Your lightsaber just like operates stupidly, honestly. Like
it's bad. It's a bad game.
Yeah.
But it is the first Star Wars video game we've seen that, you know, it's not like it adapts the story of the movie in any real way, but like that has multiple levels, first of all, and like going to different planets, following through some semblance of a narrative that it is like, you know, technically adapting the first movie's plot, like in a way that like a very bare bones, you know, platform video game.
I guess that scene where Luke fights Darth Vader on Tatooine in the first movie.
Yeah,
that one.
In the Sandcrawlers.
Yeah. Where he turns into a scorpion, that scene?
Yeah. Okay, so obviously it's not actually, but like...
No, I do know what you mean, though. And for that reason, I do think it actually, like, critiques aside, it so far has been the most fun of the Star Wars video games we've played, for sure.
Yes, not much competition, but...
Yeah, just out of the sense of, like, it being the most immersive so far. I mean, kind of a big standard.
Mm-hmm. We actually have like a nice little 8-bit version of the music going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the first game that we've played that has like a menu and like...
And I really like that Darth Vader game over scene a lot.
Yeah,
like,
the pixel art is nice. Did you miss...
like breaking the audio.
Yeah, for real. But that's just classic.
I love it. It's really great. It's peaking.
So you didn't even beat the first level?
No.
Okay.
No,
so I guess
I was not using save states. I remember now that you told me to do that, but I didn't do it at the time. I was like, man, this is so difficult.
Well, no, I fully understand. The first time I tried to play this game, I was playing it. Like, this is a game that I guess we probably already said, but it only came out in Japan, made by Namco, and you know. The guy, I was looking up stuff about the guys who made this game to see if, like, you know, they had more interesting credits or went on to do other stuff. And, like, like, one of the guys is, like, Time Crisis and stuff. But they you know, they just worked for Namco. Pac-Land, Dynasty Tactics 2 for the PS2. Yoshihiro Kishimoto was the producer for so you know that you were playing Dynasty Tactics 2 yesterday, you were telling me.
Of course.
There's a nice picture of George Lucas shaking hands with Masaya Nakamura, who's like the president of Namco and founder, and they made this game. I guess I was just giving a little bit of background on it, but there's not too much interesting behind the scenes about it. Okay, but I guess my point was the first time I was playing it, I was not playing an English translation of it, and I didn't know.
Oh.
I mean, not like you really even need to read anything to play it, but...
No, there are like some brief cutscene things that go on that like... I mean, I guess if you're playing, it's presumed you also know the story of Star Wars already, right. At least that episode, right?
And this would not be a good way to learn that story if you hadn't done it anyway.
Yeah, so. That's where we should have started the podcast.
Yeah. 10 years after the movie came out. What was I even trying to fucking say? Oh, yeah. When I was playing it without save states initially, I was also like, No, after like 15 minutes. Just
God, I
done.
know. I think I got frustrated immediately with the game and like mad at its design just because the first I don't know what those villains on Tatooine are supposed to be. Are they the little guys from the first movie that like jumped out and like tried to attack
What, the
them?
Jawas?
Yeah, are those Jawas?
I don't even know. Like, they don't look like much of anything. Like little scorpion
Like
thing.
brown crabs or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Now I'm remembering.
Yeah, whatever those were. I immediately like go to make a lightsaber swing at it, which should be like the basic like, oh, enemy coming towards me, use my attack, swing, take it down. But like I guess they're ducked enemies, so you have to crouch. So
Yeah.
it took me like I was like, why the heck is my lightsaber not working? It took me like 3 tries before I was like, oh okay, there's just another mechanic here that I have to do right in the beginning anyway, which like already set me off, man. I was like, okay, and then just you get one hit and you're done.
Yeah, one touch.
So it's not like there is room to experiment and learn that much.
No. It's really unforgiving and cheap, and like it only gets worse as the game goes on. Yeah, I think I brought up like you not passing the first level in the first place because after you beat, so at the end of every level is Darth Vader, but it's never really him except for one time, and it turns into a scorpion, a pterodactyl, wampa at one part. After you beat the level and rescue like the one friend that's captured in that one, there's like a Millennium Falcon sequence to get to the next planet, and it's like a little first person space shooting going on where TIE fighters are coming at you. But we can talk about that more in a little bit, but the only reason why I even brought it up in the first place is because when you go into hyperspace, the sound that it makes is just so awesome. It's like and just fully.
I didn't see this scene in the video I watched.
No?
No, I don't know.
It was like, yeah, after every level, there's like a whole little. Oh, yeah, that's right. You did watch footage of the rest of it, so.
Yeah, I watched a review. Someone reviewed the game.
Maybe they just didn't talk about that part.
I don't know, yeah.
Those parts are really hard and not fun, but.
I mean, I have a vague image of that in my head, but I thought that was one of the levels in of itself. Like
they're like little interludes in between every level,
Huh.
And they're really annoying. Well, played it on this time. I used save states, English translation. There's a lot of stuff that like I think is probably explained in the manual, even with the translation, because I tried to look up a translation of the manual because like there's all these force powers that you can use, but like they have symbols that don't really mean anything or communicate what they do very well. And using them, experimenting with them is also really not helping me. And then I even looked up a guide of a guy explaining each of the symbols, and only like 3 of them were consistent in my opinion. So I don't even know. But yeah, I probably made like 50 saves. I was probably saving every screen because later, as the game goes on, there's even more bullshit where like you go down a ladder, and if you drop off the ladder, you immediately fall to a spike like on the next screen below. So, but there's no way of knowing that unless you've just tried and errored it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about seeing stuff where it's like there's no separation or indication that like the background is the background, and like there are actual, not just like painted threats. There's real threats, and there's like just environmental stuff going on, and you can't really tell what the difference is.
And there's like sometimes a bottomless pit, like you'll die if you go in it. Other times you have to go in it to like go down a screen, and there's not any good indication of like when is what. But yeah, I mean, it's a bad 2D platformer, kind of like Mega Man in a way.
Never played it.
The single screens and like ladders going up to stuff was reminding me of that, and like but the developer said it was based on or inspired by like the Alex Kidd games, which I don't freaking know those games.
No, but I don't know what those are either. Alex Kidd?
Yeah, they're old Sega games, which I've seen before, but I've never played. But anyway,
the best Star Wars game so far.
Yes.
Also, I mean, I don't necessarily want to call it good, but I liked the music. Like,
Yeah. It gets pretty old after you play the game for like 2 hours, like I did, because it's really just the same like 16 bars repeating over and over
yeah,
again.
it's like
But
an electro Star Wars vibe that it's
yeah,
got going to it.
and then like when you go into the boss fight, it'll switch up to like the dun 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 dun, dun which is fun.
Hey,
Um,
stop it! We're gonna get a copyright strike.
okay, well, I think we're allowed to sing whatever the hell we want.
Okay,
Uh,
that's freedom.
yeah, I did keep going at it just because with save states, it's pretty easy to just like restart a room over and over again a million times, but I did not beat it. It got too annoying. But what's kind of interesting is they have like an ice planet where you fight a Wampa at the end, but it's called Tina. So there you go. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like more Star Wars lore for the repertoire.
So the planet Tina is
Yeah.
actually like a twin of Hoth.
Well, I mean, No, I won't even ask. Do we ever go back to Hoth? Is that ever brought up again in any of these movies?
Not in the movies.
The shows though, in the games, in the comic books, in the books.
Yeah, Hoth. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The game kind of sucks. There's a fucking underwater level later too that was just absolutely terrible.
When are underwater levels ever good?
Well,
Never, that's my
especially
opinion.
in like a bad game too. Like that's just gonna be the worst. Dude, Mario Galaxy has really good water levels.
Okay, that's the one Mario 3D game I've not played.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I never wanted it on the Wii. I was like, no, thank you.
Why?
I don't know. I was satisfied with Brawl, and that's it, really, I guess. On the Wii, I didn't play much.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Wii, I played a ton, but
I played a lot of GameCube, skipped a little Wii, then played a lot of Switch.
okay. Well,
And a lot of 3DS.
Yeah. The Wii had great games, though. I mean, Galaxy and Galaxy 2 are amazing.
I forgot there's two of them, even. I also, even at one point, had that, it was 64 Sunshine and Galaxy, like the 3-pack.
Yeah.
I even had that. Mm-hmm.
But you didn't play Galaxy?
No, I skipped over Galaxy. I played 64. Sunshine, didn't play Galaxy.
I mean, I love those ones, too.
Well, you had more of an innate connection with outer space than I did.
Yeah, there you go. That's
tie it
true.
all back.
That's true. Yeah, I'm getting like truly exhausted trying to think about things to say about this game. I don't know why I played it as long as I did. I was kind of like, well, the Death Star level is just like a true maze where like each room you go in has a up, down, left, and right way to get off the screen, and like most of the rooms you go in are useless, and you have to like keep backtracking and exploring, and like I ended up like using a guide for it, but even with the guide it was really annoying, and like
my goodness,
just like tricks too. Like we said, like there's a part in the Death Star level where you have to go down the detention hallway and hit the door that Leia is trapped behind with the lightsaber. But earlier in the level, there's a power-up, like pick-up upgrade to get a blaster instead of a lightsaber, which like in this game is better for taking out enemies because you don't have to get up so close to them and stuff. But if you get the blaster, you can't switch back to the lightsaber, and the blaster doesn't open the doors. Like if you shoot the doors, they don't open. You have to have the lightsaber for that.
Wait, so what do you do if you're just...
You can't do anything. You just die.
Did you beat the game?
No.
Oh, do you know how close you got to the end of it?
Yeah, there's one more like regular level, and then there's like the trench run part, which is actually why I kept playing it, because I saw screenshots of the trench run, and it was like a top-down like X-Wing going through the trench thing, and I wanted to check that out, but that's only at the very end, and you have to get through like 6 really bad levels to get there, so...
Yeah, well, I don't know, yeah, the theory I was like forming in my head is like, are they maybe like making this game in this style where it's like very, very difficult, very unforgiving, so that the player just doesn't very often get to the last level, so they don't have to put as much like effort into the game design of the last levels. Like, is there any of that going on, or am I being super uncharitable to like how what could just be like them figuring stuff out, you know?
I mean, I would guess that it's like a bit of both.
Yeah.
I definitely think there are games from this time that were absolutely designed like that, where like the first level is awesome and crazy, and then the second level is just like impossibly hard, so that most people never even see the third and fourth level that they just ran out of time and didn't try on. But this one has a whole new thing at the very end that you don't get to, like a whole, different type of level at the end that you don't get to experience at all unless you beat the whole thing. So, yeah, like you rescue all the characters. Like each level begins with them telling you, like, Luke, I'm here. And then like you have to like talk to R2D2 to open up the door in the trash compactor. You have to use C-3PO to he says, let me see if I can talk to this whale and get you a ride on a whale that you ride on the back of. So there's some other aspects of the game.
That's nice. That's like a real Star Wars-esque style, you know? When I think of like, how could we utilize C-3PO in sort of a Star Wars environment? I'm like, let's have him talk to animals, like Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah. He does talk to like this other alien guy before that too, but
the Whale Keeper.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be mistaken with the Rancor Keeper.
Yeah, well, literally though, I mean, the only other time, well, whatever. Any other thoughts about this game?
No, I wasn't enjoying it, so.
Me neither. Unfortunately, the next two games are not really any better, but then the next game after that will be cool.
Are we not at Super Star Wars yet?
Not yet. All right. There's two NES, like American-made versions of one like adapting A New Hope and one doing Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. I shouldn't be excited, but I'm excited to, at least for the experience of the Empire Strikes Back one. I feel like that'll be cool to see where they try to take it.
Yeah, I've tried to play it before. I haven't. I don't think I've gotten past the first level, but I'm going to try to this time.
All right, interesting.
I think I've tried to play it 2 different times, but this time I'll really give it a fair shake. But yeah. Anyway, better video games to come.
Yeah, and as I've mentioned to you, just like the virtue of existing, I've seen ads for so many Star Wars games now. Now I know there's a ton out there.
Mm-hmm.
I like see things and I'm like, oh, we'll have to get to that in like 4 years.
I guess we'll see. I've been playing Dark Forces, one we'll get to pretty soon. That they just kind of put out a remaster of last year. 90s first-person shooter, like Doom type of game. Pretty fun.
Okay.
Pretty fun. I like it.
I think that's one I saw that there's also like a Switch port for, or at least like an add-on for another thing.
Yeah, it's definitely on the Switch too. Yeah. All right. Well, you want to move on to the board games?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we got West End Games. Board game company, and they made first. Wow, this is absolutely horrible intro. Okay, West End Games.
Don't say that.
Thank you. We're talking about the first Star Wars role-playing tabletop RPG game. This was, made by West End Games. They first put out a rule book and a source book, and these are really, really interesting, I think. First of all, it's interesting to me that this Star Wars role-playing game was based off of the Ghostbusters role-playing game that they had made previously.
Yeah, from the guy who also made Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Really interesting, too. I was like, wow, these are weird connections.
And Paranoia, another popular, or I've never played, but I've heard of Paranoia before. But I thought it was weird that there was a Ghostbusters one before Star Wars. Because I know Ghostbusters was really popular, and maybe it was just the timing of like when role-playing games were booming and when
Hey, from a
Ghostbusters
fantasy perspective, I see that being like a pretty fun area of exploration too. Like, yeah, let's just do like a small scale like poltergeist story or something.
Yeah. I mean,
probably easier than what was done here, crafting like a lot of expansive lore to the Star Wars universe and like trying to make it as they've done before, like technically and coherently make sense.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure that this is way more. I mean, that's probably why there's only one or two Ghostbusters books, and then they publish like 40 of these. Not only because of just popularity, but because of how expansive this is and everything. But I'm not disagreeing that I think that could be a cool area for a role-playing game, but I'm just saying like Star Wars, it seems so obvious as like one of the perfect things for a role-playing like universe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've talked about it on the episodes, especially where we watched like Empire and Return of the Jedi. I know we've been like, man, some of the battle scenes make you just like want to be in the universe and like take part in some of this action.
Fly a freaking snow speeder.
Even go to the cantina. That'd be cool too.
It'd be awesome.
So yeah, it does make perfect sense to like give people that opportunity through imagination.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about they had to craft a lot of lore like for this, and what's really interesting is that I mean, I didn't even know this. I guess this is somewhat common knowledge among Star Wars fans, but the source book is like the originator of so many terms, especially of aliens. You've got like the word Twi'lek. This is the first appearance of the word Twi'lek.
Ooh, they sound cool, by the way. Like the way it described their race and everything.
Yeah, that's what Bib Fortuna is.
Who is that?
Jabba's like doorman guy with the.
Oh, and the dancer also.
Yes,
one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The males. Yeah, the female. Well, maybe I'm wrong about this, but no, I think. But whatever.
You better make sure you're right.
No, I don't.
Or you better not say it.
Yeah, no, the Twi'leks are cool.
I want to go to their planet. Their planet sounded cool too. I was like, I want to know more about that. Some of this stuff seemed spoiler for me. I was like, is this spoiling stuff? But I guess not.
This is the first time it's being talked about. So,
but I was like, I absolutely have a feeling. I guess I don't know truly, but I was like, I have a feeling a lot of these places will be utilized and explored later in other Star Wars media.
Yes, well, it really was, and they would go on to make more and more of these source books, just like, the Guide to Planets, the Guide to Imperial, equipment, stuff like that. And when they hired Timothy Zahn for Heir to the Empire, they gave him
his Thrawn trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I hear it in my head, so I have to say it.
Captain Pelion, please look at the screen.
Hey, save it for next episode. Little teaser.
I know. They gave him all these source books, and they were like, use this as truth for the world.
So much sense, dude. Because I was also literally about to say, because we were talking about like earlier about the Jedi abilities that are in here, and one of the ones that's in here, I think, is literally like a detoxify ability.
Yeah, dude, I was reading about that, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's in the book."
He does that in Heir to the Empire, which again, a little spoiler for next episode, but
yeah,
I thought that was cool. I was like, that's really neat. That makes sense. The connection, I guess, now.
Yeah, I was just seeing in this if they're calling it Ryloth here, like. Yeah, the Twi'leks are indigenous to Ryloth. This stuff is still canon now. Like
and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the first mention of like the hibernation as a Jedi ability is also in the Heir to the Empire books, but that's also mentioned here too.
Yes, as well as like the battle meditation thing.
Yeah,
you've read that part where they're talking about why. I'll stop talking as soon as you tell me, like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, can I tell you where I am in the second book? Then that will sort of dictate whether
I just can't remember if it's in the first or second book,
Okay.
but I can present it in a way that won't
All right,
spoil
we can
anything.
navigate these waters.
If you read about Joris Sabayoth talking to, or I forget if it's even him, Thrawn and Pelion, and they're talking about the Battle of Endor, and like, oh, it was going well until the Emperor died.
Yes, I have. This subject has been broached.
Okay.
I don't know how much I.
All right.
I also know like that Sabayoth was a traitor. You know.
Yeah. Well, I'll be quiet about it just in case. But
I know it's also been like a week since I've listened, so
just concepts and force powers, aliens, all the so many things. Truly, that I mean, there are certain things that are contradicted by modern canon and everything, but I was really having my mind blown by how much stuff is established in this fucking role-playing game guide
yeah.
that Lucasfilm really dug. I mean, like I said, they gave it to Timothy Zahn and said, use this as like your truth for like the larger world.
That's a good sign to me for this role-playing game too. I bet it's pretty fun to actually play like in implementation.
Oh yeah, I bet you they wrote some good little campaigns because they came out with like 80 books over the period of 10 years.
Yeah, did you read the little section for the GM that was basically about like here are some adventure styles you can create too?
Yeah,
it was like basically just like a little shell of Star Wars adventures where it's like, oh, you have to like go pretend to be Imperial royalty or something. Like we'll do a little secret espionage mission.
Yeah, that was really fun. I also love the ads that are in this book, like the in-universe ads. Did you look at these? Like this one, like
I don't know if I did.
Yeah, look at this. So they have like fake ads in here. A challenge this big is not for everyone, and it's like an Imperial Navy propaganda commercial. Excellent career opportunities. Yeah, they just have like little in-universe commercials, Imperial propaganda and the like. There's one I'm trying to find though. Search.
Are you looking for the big R2D2 one with his head?
That one's fun, yeah. Look at this, the Incom's T-65 X-Wing, Space Superiority Fighter, just like, I don't know, it's pretty cool. Original advertisement from Galactic Defense Review, published before nationalization of Incom by the Empire. So, like, oh, the rebels like bought these spaceships from this private company, and then the Imperials absorbed that company to like stop them from getting stuff. Like little things like that really flesh it out. If you are going to explore this world in longer formats, like a campaign for an RPG or a novel that would maybe get into like, that you'd have to have the name of, in the movie, you can just have Han Solo and Chewbacca like doing a big wrench on something. And they say like, oh, the hyperdrive motivator and blah, stuff like that. But like, if you're writing a book, you need to have the actual terms for these things. And like, what's so cool, if you're making a connected universe, you have something like this as like a guidebook to go back to, so every author can be like, okay, this is like the mechanical makeups of an X-Wing fighter or whatever. Like,
yeah, and it's super helpful to have that, and I think it's super important too. And like you said, it is different than the movie because it is a role-playing game where you also will have, like, if you're a game master running this, yeah, you can't just be like, yeah, you screw that tight and it like fixes the ship or whatever, because your players will ask questions about things too.
Yeah.
And as they start, like in the movie, if we're on Tatooine, and I have questions about the environment of Tatooine, I might not get those answered in the movie. But if a player is asking stuff about that, and they want to do stuff that interacts with the environment or like role play to a degree based on that, like you have to have answers to that. You have to have a well of consistency to pull from. So
Yeah, yeah.
as much like fleshing out as they can do is super helpful here, especially for a universe that like is like technically intricate, the Star Wars universe, like in a way. Like it feels like a bunch of different sci-fi concepts can live in it at the same time, but also they all do feel homogenous.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that is some of the magic of it that we were talking about last time, where like you have so many concepts, people, spaceships, alien species, planet names, things like that. That's like, oh, what's that? That sounds cool. Well, we're not going to learn anything about it in the movie, but we shouldn't learn anything about it in the movie because the movie isn't a guidebook. The movie is trying to tell the story that it's trying to tell. But I mean, like you said, but I think that's why it works so well for something like this, because like, okay, like you mentioned, like in the cantina or whatever, if I'm like role playing and we go into the Mos Eisley cantina and like you're the game master and I'm like, oh, well, I want to like talk to this guy at the bar. Well, okay, what species is he? What language does he speak? Do you speak that language? Does he understand English?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of relationships do these two species have with each other traditionally? Do they not like humans or what? You know, all these kind of things.
And even stuff like what that ad gives you, like knowing about, like, oh, like perhaps there was like a bit of a trade dispute that went on there that sort of like caused a domino effect for actions for that to break off that way. Like maybe someone at the bar is like a disgruntled former like worksman from that situation. So you can just like plot hook very easily when you're given gifts like that sprinkled throughout like a large lore book like this.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Not the guy who designed the game, but the guys who made the source book would go on to found like Firaxis Games along with like Sid Meier's and make all the Civilization games.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
On my to play list.
Have you never played any Civ games?
No.
I've only played 5 and whatever the space one was. Like Civ Space. I don't know.
I saw there's a new one coming out. That's why I was looking at it recently.
Yeah, 7's coming out. This is cool though. They just another little detail from this Galaxy Tours, a passport to your adventure, 4-week grand galactic tour. And it's cool because all the ads are, unless noted otherwise, like this one that said original advertisement published before nationalization by the Empire. Most of the ads are Imperial ads.
Cool, yeah.
So they have a slant to them. Like the recruitment one is like, oh, you'll be respected amongst everybody on each planet you go to. But like any, smart reader can pull that into their game of like, oh, well, that's how like a naive person might approach it. But like everybody really knows that nobody respects them. And like, I mean, that's obvious. It doesn't need to, for me to like explain that out. But I just think that that's such a cool, like, nitty gritty world building thing.
Yeah, I'm curious because like I know there are people who are like have famous like Dungeons and Dragons campaigns that they're known for or do. I wonder if there is a group that is like known for Star Wars role playing. You would probably know them more so than I would, or maybe not. I guess we have like different areas of interconnection here.
Yeah. See, I mean, I'm sure I've said on the podcast before, but like I think that these things are really, really cool and I'm very interested in them, but I've only played Dungeons and Dragons like for real 3 or 4 times. I don't know too much about it. And I've never, been a dungeon master or anything like that. So, well, actually I did make a campaign one time, but it was very bare bones and simple and mostly just story based and stuff. But like, anyway, I think that you are a little more entrenched into this world than me. And I don't know the answer to that. There might be some really quote unquote famous but popular in their circles Star Wars game masters.
Yeah, it's just like when I think of like the people who play or like tabletop role playing games, professional and whatnot. Usually it's like D&D specific, but I'm trying to think of like, oh, when they do veer off and do something like for fun, I'm like, what do you see? You see like kids on bikes, you see Call of Cthulhu, but I'm trying to think if I've ever seen someone do like a Star Wars thing, but
I'm sure they have. I mean,
yeah, I'm positive there's probably an ongoing, built upon this even likely like Star Wars role playing game that is still very popular.
Yeah, like a 40-year-old campaign that keeps going. Yeah. I mean, now Fantasy Flight has like a new, it's over 10 years old now, but like a new version of the role playing.
That's
game.
what I meant.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I'm sure there's some people who have been playing this since the beginning and then just continued their campaign and switched over the rules and stuff like that.
That would be impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. That probably is the case too. But that'd be pretty impressive to go that long.
But on this Galaxy Tours thing, it just mentions week 4 you go to the Imperial City, which they don't say the word Coruscant here, but I'm sure that was in one of the later source books. But I just thought it was funny that they said there's the renowned Imperial Ballet Company, and also join a rare tour of the Palpatine Gardens.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Do we see those in the prequels, the Palpatine Gardens?
Palpatine Gardens? I don't believe so.
I heard there's a pretty intense action sequence in the Palpatine Gardens.
Mm-hmm. Just like blood spray on the flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yoda taking on the Imperial Empire.
The Imperial Empire?
Yeah.
Dude, did you just say that? Okay, so we didn't play a campaign of this or anything, but we did create characters to present to each other here today. I guess we can get right into it. Do you want to share yours first, or do you want me to go first?
I can. I kind of broke the rules a little bit, and I like kind of multi-classed, which I don't know.
That's fine.
What if my game master would allow that at the time?
I'll allow it.
Because I wanted to be a bounty hunter.
Okay.
Right? But it didn't seem like I could also be the other thing I wanted to be, which was an Ewok.
See, I knew it.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh my god.
But doesn't that sound cool? An Ewok bounty hunter?
Yeah, it does.
It sounds very cool. Well, his name is Dietrich Wardwin, and would you like a little bit about his backstory?
Dietrich Wardwin?
Dietrich Wardwin.
Dietrich Wardwin.
Yeah.
And he's an Ewok?
Okay. Yes.
See? I fucking knew this.
He is an Ewok. Yeah.
Okay, you bastard. You try to gaslight me into thinking that you didn't talk about that.
Look.
Yes, I would love to learn about him.
You also, when I made that joke, your response, just so everyone knows, it was cold, heartless. It was let's surprise each other. And so, I had to.
How's that cold and heartless?
I had to pull the wool back over your eyes, man.
Well, it worked. I don't know how you got me, but I genuinely wasn't expecting it. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, I'll just sort of pan with the look of him first, because I think it's important to know what he looks like.
I'm like choking on hair right now. But go ahead.
Sure. So, size-wise, sort of imagine your typical Ewok in size. Not very big. I do sort of consider him to be amongst the stockier of Ewoks.
Okay, one of the bigger guys.
Yeah, but I wouldn't sort of correlate that with strength. He's a spoiled upbringing, which you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like chubby, is what you're saying.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's a broader build.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, but it's
stocky,
not
but not
strength.
muscular.
Yeah. Don't body shame.
Not body shame. You said he had a spoiled upbringing, so I'm thinking, oh, he's like royalty,
Okay, look.
All right, please. I'm
dark
sorry.
brown fur, but it's really matted and clumped together. Also.
Okay.
What?
Why is he dirty?
It'll be explained.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'll stop interrupting.
I just have to show what he looks like first.
Do you have a picture of him?
No, I just have to.
Okay. Sorry.
you gonna let me get through this, Jackson? Okay. He wears like basically scavenged, like mismatched pieces of metal and whatnot that he just sort of like picked up from his adventures and whatnot. Okay.
That's cool.
He likes things dusty and rusty, sort of. That's like his style.
Okay.
Anyway, so Dietrich was born on Endor, of course, naturally, into a kind-hearted, warm, furry-faced family, an only child. So that's where I say he's sort of spoiled in that sense, you know? So adored, absolutely adored by like his two parents, coddled by them, probably anything Dietrich wanted as a kid. You know, he's like, hey, I want that maple leaf over there. Papa Ewok's getting him that maple leaf.
Some
you know?
jub berries or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, as with a lot of Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, tragedy befalls parents.
Killed by the Dueloks?
He does. Nope, they don't die.
Okay.
See, I was like, I'm not going to go that cliche route. And I actually utilized it in an interesting way, I think. So it's not even like there's no adversary that takes out Dietrich's parents. A storm hits Endor, and basically just tears down trees, causes chaos and destruction to the little Endor village that Dietrich's from, whatever that might be. And his parents, they don't even die from this, but they suffer really, really major injuries from it. And it seems like, you know, the life is leaving them. They're not going to be around much longer. The medicine that the Ewoks have just isn't enough for the injuries that they've sustained. Okay?
Okay.
Do you like this?
I do like it. I really do. The only thing I was thinking was, man, I don't think I have as much about my character. But
that's totally fine. I was like having fun.
No, I absolutely love it.
Anyway,
please.
It's cool too. I also wrote in a little way that like, depending on what you did, we could tie our characters together. Like theoretically, if we were gonna do a campaign, like as players would try to like make the characters connect somehow.
Right.
So there's a little fill in the blank for you there if you'd like. It'll pop up.
I was already thinking about like how might my guy have met this guy.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah.
Which
cool.
Sorry to interrupt again, but as a side thing, I thought it was really funny. Some of the way they were explaining just like how role-playing games work in general in the book was really like charming in a way, because it was saying that about like in a role-playing game, your characters probably want to know each other. Here's a list of ways that they could know each other. Being related, being friends, co-workers. Like, and I was like, is this like a improv book or a role-playing game book? Dude, what's the difference?
It truly, really is one of the hardest parts for like new players, though, sometimes being like, oh, it's like we can't think of a reason that we all know each other and like would want to do an adventure together. And it's like, okay, please, like I made everything else. Like it's the one thing.
It can be so simple too. It can just be like, we all were in jail together.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just thought it was cute how they had to explain that stuff.
Yeah, no, that is endearing. They speak about role playing very endearingly throughout the whole book. They're very much like imagination first. Like if you want to role play something out versus do the skill checks, like do the role play. Like that's what we're here for. Blah blah blah.
It's very nice. It's like all this is like templates. Really, at the end of the day, do whatever you want.
Yeah,
like, you can really strictly follow this if you want. It's here for you, but you know, you don't have to.
Yeah. Which may be why there's game breaking stuff.
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyway, so where were we? All right, imagine, you know, your Dietrich, village torn apart, family, they're losing their life, you know. You were kind of just like a spoiled kid, you know, living in the lap of luxury, of Ewok luxury, as good as it can get. And now you're going to lose, like, the two people who anchored you to the moon that you live on, man. So what is... So what does Dietrich do? He just runs off into the woods. And what does he run off for? We don't know why he's running off. Is he looking for a place to cry alone? I don't know. Or is he looking for a bit of a miracle or something like that? I don't know. But I'm sorry. Perhaps you.
No, I'm really genuinely enjoying this.
You're making me crack up, man. I can see that you're enjoying. Anyway, okay. No. So he goes out. He does sort of run across a miracle, which is I was inspired a bit by the Ewok movies that we watched.
Okay, yeah. I kind of thought so.
And so there's a ship that he runs into.
Ooh.
Yes. And basically, there's a bounty hunter. It's a bounty hunter ship.
Mm.
And Dietrich, like, comes into contact with this bounty hunter, and they sort of have, like, a tough guy off, Dietrich is projecting some emotional strength that he doesn't have here. And it's sort of the beginning of a lesson that he starts to learn, which is like, hey, if you pretend to fit in, sometimes you can fit in. And sometimes if you just start following down the path of the Ewok that you want to be, then you can be that Ewok.
Yeah, self-change is just a one day at a time kind of.
Yeah, so that sounded really nice, but then having to like interject the idea of like man with Ewok into that just like made it sound so stupid to me as I was saying it. Anyway.
No, it was hey, I mean, they're a sentient, intelligent life form, there's nothing.
Can I go on?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, so Dietrich tells a little bit of a white lie here too when he's like sort of projecting. Okay. What? We're not gonna get through this.
It's just making me laugh. All right.
There's more, man.
And I'm excited to hear it. I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying to listen.
It's gonna make me cry. Dietrich basically lies and he's like, I am a bounty hunter too. And this guy,
the bounty hunter?
Yeah, to the bounty hunter, who quickly sizes up Dietrich and is like, this kid's not a bounty hunter, yeah. But I am like searching for a escapee that is like, I've tracked them down to Endor. And, I don't know the lay of the land, so perhaps Dietrich can assist me out in this. Since, like, I'll call the bluff a little is what this guy does. And Dietrich's like, yeah, sure, I'll help. And when Dietrich boards this guy's ship, he notices some better medical facilities. Wait a second. Do you remember from earlier Dietrich's parents?
Yeah, I remember.
And so Dietrich ends up, sort of breaking down from that tough guy exterior and crying a little bit to this bounty hunter about his parents and everything. It warms this guy's heart a little bit, and he makes a deal. He's like, okay, you help me find this escapee that I'm looking for, and I'll make you a deal. Then we'll figure out what to do with your parents and the medicine and whatnot. And so, crazy little adventure they have where they track down an escaped Wookiee, by the way, is what I went with on Endor here. They kill it. They kill the Wookiee. It's wanted dead or alive. Okay, for breaking a life debt, by the way. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if there is a canonical punishment for that, but I feel like it should be death.
Okay, it's just kind of, like a cultural thing, really. That I don't know if they do a bounty hunter.
Well, when I say broke the life debt, I mean that Wookiee it would be like if Chewbacca killed Leia.
Oh, okay, sure,
yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so...
Hey, look, I don't think that a Wookiee is necessarily a good guy just because it's a Wookiee, okay? I mean...
Hey, and I wanted to paint the corners of the Star Wars universe a little bit and show that. Just show how bad and evil the Wookiees can be. And this is like... When we're on the ground floor of this, when this gets like an animated episode of its own, it's scary. I mean, it is Dietrich and this bounty hunter in the woods, like hunting down this like ragged looking Yeti, or not Yeti, Wookiee, almost Yeti essential though.
Yeah, like a Bigfoot kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, like a Bigfoot kind of guy. Yeah, that's the perfect comparison for Wookiees. I was trying to think of something else, but that's what they are. Anyway, so they capture and kill this Wookiee. But the deal that the bounty hunter ends up making is like, oh, okay, you know what? This little Ewok's maybe a little more useful than meets the eye, because notable thing that happens during their little encounter, and I haven't fleshed out exactly what it might be, but because I forget what were the two terms in the book. There's like one, you're really strong with the Force, and the other was like you're just Force sensitive. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
He's a Force sensitive bounty hunter Ewok.
Yeah. Maybe the first piece of media to say force sensitive as a phrase also. I could be wrong about that, but like I don't think we've seen it come up at least.
Yeah, and sorry to take up so much time on this character.
Please. I don't have as much on mine, so take up as much time as you want.
Also worth mentioning, though, about the Force stuff, I do think it's super, super cool that there's a built-in game mechanic that lets anyone tap into the Force, since that is, like, explicitly what Obi-Wan stated, like, the Force was. Like, something that everyone is connected to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool that, like, you can get a minor little boost, even, if you want to spend some Force points.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, okay. After, they capture and kill the Wookiee, the bounty hunter agrees to heal Dietrich's parents, and in order to do that, he has to stay for a week. So the deal that he makes with Dietrich is 1 week for 1 year. And so that is that Dietrich has to be a little bounty hunter apprentice on a ship for 1 year, and that's the payment for the medicine. And so that's where we sort of leave Dietrich off. He's with this bounty hunter, ready to explore the galaxy. Okay,
nice. So he's still with them at the beginning of like whatever campaign. It's not like his year has ended.
Yeah, I figured he's still that's so like hooking in other characters. I was like, okay, either like you can be that bounty hunter character, or we could be going to any, like, we're bounty hunters, so we can go anywhere really. We can go to any planet that you're on, or alternatively, if it was a campaign that like didn't want that NPC associated with it, it could just be like Dietrich got like chucked somewhere at some point, like left behind or something. Since their relationship wasn't it wasn't like, oh, my little Dietrich, more like Mandalorian,
Yeah, I feel you. That's cool.
Yeah, that's my Ewok character.
That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I like him. The way you were talking about it was really making me laugh. He told a little white lie. I immediately flashed to Wicket and Tebow playing, catch the falling thing, or what was it in the cartoon?
Oh my god, yeah.
And then they like tell a little white lie to his aunt or whatever. So I'm like,
yeah. Oh, totally forgot. I should have incorporated the Forbidden Ewok game that they play.
Yeah, what is that? Oh well.
Was it flour too that they were just using, or like a powder?
Yeah. Man, I that's like like a dream in my head right now. Like,
Ewok retention is low.
Yeah. Well, I like him. Dietrich?
Yeah, Dietrich Wardwin.
And
he talks like this.
Oh, okay, but he can speak English.
Well, I mean, no, but if you were playing the game and role-playing, that's the voice that I'd be using, because we
need to be fluent in the Ewok language if you want to play as him.
I think the Ewoks speak Common as well, though, or they know bits of Common, is what it said.
Basic, but yeah.
Yeah, so
it's called Basic.
Oh, okay, sorry, it's Common in D&D, so, or at least in 3.5.
It's Basic in Star Wars.
Okay. Like all the fans? Basic?
No, I got it.
I'm on a roll today.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're being a little pesky bastard today.
Pesky bastard.
Get rid of all these damn tabs. Okay. Well, Dietrich sounds sweet. I'd love to play a campaign with him. Unfortunately, my character's not a bounty hunter, but I could see how he could tie into him still with any bounty hunter, pretty easily. So,
Dietrich also does just want to learn more about his latent force abilities, too. So I don't know if you have force-sensitive stuff going on. That could also be a grounding thing.
I don't. I think if I was truly making what I would unironically think is the coolest type of Star Wars character, I would probably pick the failed Jedi or something like that.
That was a really interesting concept, honestly.
Yeah.
Also the other one that was I forget what the word they used, but the lying Jedi, basically.
man, how do you pronounce that word? It's like Quixote because it's like Don Quixote, like
Yeah, I don't know.
and it's like the guy in the comic book that is with Han Solo's the whole group of Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Who was super cool.
Yeah.
Or at least the idea was. And then you thought, like, I remember us saying, like, I thought they were going to do something big with that, but then it fizzled out.
Yeah, that is a pretty interesting one. It's kind of like a Mob Psycho. You ever watch that?
No.
Anime. It's good. It's good. It's like the apprentice is like an extremely talented magic user beyond his years, whatever, and the guy who is his mentor is like just a swindler, like scam artist who has like no magic abilities.
Oh, that does sound cool.
But he's convinced everyone that he's like a powerful exorcist and stuff. Anyway, my character is named. Well, he's a human. He's a gambler.
Okay. I almost made a gambler.
I see. He's currently a gambler, but that wasn't always what his life was like. And his name is Glorp Cinderhat.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah. Just so I have it correct. Glorp Cinderhat?
Yeah, Glorp.
Oh, sorry. Glorg?
Glorp. Glorp.
Okay.
Glorp, which, you know, I'm not really in love with as its own first name. It's a little like Rick and Morty-ish, but after the fact, I kind of realized. But I think combined with Cinderhat, Glorp Cinderhat.
Yeah. I really like Cinderhat.
Well, thank you. He is a current gambler, but his origins. He, similar to yours, is an only child who lived a pretty good life, being brought up on some of the higher levels of Imperial Coruscant, in the heart of the Imperial City itself. Now, his father was a very high-ranking official in the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau. A top of or a high level guy that is doing like large scale type of overseeing his dad in matters of security, but on a galactic scale. So like espionage, spy networks, and stuff like that. So Glorp was kind of groomed into that lifestyle since he was born. And I'm assuming, right, that if we're following the rules of this role-playing game, that whatever campaign we were doing is kind of probably taking place like sometime after A New Hope, sometime before Return of the Jedi. Like post-Death Star destruction, pre-Fall of the Empire.
Yes. Because also they explicitly note when it comes to Jedi training, like, they're like, yeah, you can't get Luke or like Yoda because Yoda's training Luke right now.
Yeah.
Funny.
I know. But in the source book, they have like stats for Yoda and Obi-Wan and stuff.
It was written weirdly. It was like theoretically it's possible, but in practice it's impossible for you to run into the characters.
Yeah. Maybe that's a little hint of like maybe as like a big surprise, you as the game master could have like Yoda show up or something like that.
I almost took it as a you can do it, but you shouldn't do it because you won't be able to do it successfully.
Yeah. Like, let's not touch these sacred cows, kind of.
Yes. Yeah.
But then the source book gives stats for them and has like, Obi-Wan has 11D lightsaber ability, whatever.
Well, I don't know. Weird.
Yeah. It's interesting. Okay.
Let's hear more about this Imperial gambler.
Yeah. Glorp Cinderhat, right? So he was kind of groomed to be like a spy from from a very young age. And he grew up to be, in his late teen, early 20 years, a very handsome rogue who at this point is being sent all around the Imperial City of Coruscant to sort of, be this high society gallivanter type of, socialite guy. And so he frequents, different fancy bars and casinos and, uh, hey, maybe even the Imperial Ballet or Palpatine's Gardens, other high society places like that. And he's a spy for the Empire. And so he, tries to get any kind of public gossip about any plans that may be going on or any rebellions and things. Um, but of course, he develops a love for sabacc while he's doing this. He has to hang out at casinos a lot, starts playing a lot of sabacc, gets real good at it, starts to every now and then lose a little focus on his what he's supposed to be doing for his father because of his gambling habits. And as it goes on, he starts to see some things that maybe he doesn't agree with. So I guess I kind of multi-class too, because there is an ex-Imperial officer as one of the classes here too.
Some of the classes are limiting because it's like, well, I can be both these things. Come on.
Absolutely you could. Especially like, a bounty hunter could be any alien species. So he starts seeing things that maybe he doesn't care for too much. Some of the things he's being asked to do, or maybe he even, he hears someone say something bad about, oh, I hate how, we're always being watched by stormtroopers on our walk home. And he's like, whatever. He doesn't even think twice about it because he's kind of, been ingratiated with the people for a while now. But some stormtroopers over here that they electrocute this guy, they cuff him, they pull him out. He's like, holy shit, what am I doing? Then one day while he's at the sabacc table, he's seated across from a beautiful woman, a human around his age, another Coruscant beauty. It seems like wealthy. Must be the daughter of an heir. She must be an heiress.
Yeah.
Well, they play sabacc, right? She wins a bunch of money from him. Oh boy, she's good at sabacc too. They start falling in love. They fall into a passionate affair, and he eventually she reveals to him that she's actually a rebel spy. And she came, from not a wealthy background, but she's so good at her espionage that now she's worked her way up to being like this fake socialite in the Imperial City, a fake Imperial.
Star Wars Anna Delvey.
Yeah, exactly.
For good.
Yeah, a good version.
Yeah.
And so, she's planning some kind of revolt. I guess that's a part that I haven't fleshed out too much is exactly what, she's doing there.
That could tie into the Game Master's campaign though too,
She's doing some rebel plot, right, that he learns about. So now she ends up trusting him enough that she tells him about it. And she doesn't know that he's a spy for the Empire. Also, he's lied about his background to her. And he's like, oh shit, well, she just told me the truth. Should I tell her the truth? Should I tell my dad about this? Yeah. Should I report to my higher ups in my job? But then he's like, no, actually, this is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. He puts it all together. The Empire is wrong. And I actually agree with this girl's politics, not just how beautiful and lovely she is. So he decides, all right, I'm going to take all my sabacc skills, go to the high rollers table one more time, get as much money as I can, and then run away from home with this girl and leave the Empire behind. And, they go together. And it turns out they're playing through the night. It's going well. They're both winning money. But then, some guards come up. They take her. They start taking her away. He's like, what the hell? What? And then it turns out that, the dealer was also a spy for the Imperials. And, that his dad put on him because he was getting suspicious that, maybe my son's not doing everything he's supposed to be doing. And he's hanging out with this girl and blah, blah, blah. So she gets arrested, and the father has her executed to, as
Oh no.
as an example to his son of like, he doesn't necessarily know that the son was planning to defect, but he's like, you can't trust people because they could be rebels, and like this will show you like this is what happens to rebels, just in case you're thinking about it. So, he still leaves with all his money and goes off into space in search of rebellion. Maybe he knows about some contacts of hers. At that point, she had told him about where they were going to go and join up and whatever. So he does still run away from home with all his money, but now with revenge in his mind.
Oh, man, I imagine he's going through a little bit of heartbreak too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's got to be sad and lonely in whatever ship he took out to escape on.
Mm-hmm.
Probably really use a small furry little companion.
Yeah, exactly.
To sort of light his days.
I don't think you're wrong at all. And hey, I mean, maybe they all meet up before they leave Coruscant together. Maybe your guy and the bounty hunter were doing something, taking some bounty in that casino or whatever, and they ran into each other. They saw the situation. They meet up, something.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, there could even be a bounty on your head.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Imperial spy. The rebels trying to kill him. They don't know that he's turning.
I mean, yeah, you would have. I mean, based on your position as a spy, you did just sort of like up and leave, right? It's not really.
Yeah.
I mean, like if a U.S. spy just decided to like,
right,
bail out, the U.S. would be like, no, you can't just like run off.
Right. I'm assuming his father and the various other people in the ISB are trying to track him down and stuff.
So they're coming for you, basically. Mm-hmm. So like you need Dietrich's help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More of like a warrior type, because I'm more of like the charisma one, and then you like protect me.
Yeah. And like lest we forget, Dietrich's force sensitive, so Dietrich would be like, "There's trouble coming."
Yeah. Hey, and you could use it to like see what the sabacc cards were going to be.
Yeah, true. Or we could use one of those little like scanners or little fake little sabacc card things they have in Heir to the Empire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The possibilities are endless.
But hey, that's cool. I like that character a lot. I feel like that's one I feel like I could just see in something, There was this very like Henry IV Part 1, Hal in his lap of luxury, then having to like actually take on some adult responsibility all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Be like, I have to shed aside this like childish playing that I was doing to go be a big boy in the real world.
Yeah, you just like drinking and gambling, and then you're right. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty like stereotypical kind of backstory, I feel like, but I like that kind of guy.
Yeah, I think it was good. But all story foundations start at like very similar places, really. Like, when you look at things.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, how many different ways can somebody like have a call to adventure or whatever, other than like your parents died,
revenge or love, or like I need something to save someone.
Yeah. But I like your character too. Man, I kind of want to play with these guys.
It would be fun.
Yeah,
it would be fun. We need to. I mean, it's actually funny. So I don't know if I ever told you this. Back when I was like really, really doing a lot of like surveys and play tests, like every week it felt like. That's when I first got into it. It was like the golden era of it. Now I get like one a month if I'm lucky. By the way, I got one on Monday.
Oh, nice.
Or I don't remember what my point was. I don't remember what we were talking about. I don't remember what the initial.
You said back when you were doing a bunch of them in relation to like, I want to play as these characters. Oh, yeah. Back when I was first starting the play tests and doing them a bunch.
Yeah, I have no clue what I was about to say. I'm so sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. Sorry, I was trying to remind you, but that's pretty much all that was said. So. Just
like I'm still sort of like reeling from the sadness of that woman being executed,
Yeah, probably he made her like, how Leia is being like interrogated with the torture droid.
Yeah.
He probably made him like sit in for that or something.
No, this
And
is
then
like
he watched as she like didn't give up his name as part of anything even.
this also rings a little Tyrion, Tywin, and like Tyrion's first love or whatever.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
Obviously not the same, but
It did make me think of it though.
Yeah.
No, hey, you can say it's the same. There's no doubt about it that like George R.R. Martin is probably more creative than I am about like writing character motivations.
Well, that's like a hardcore thing though that like happens there too.
Yeah,
What I mean,
it is.
know?
Yeah,
I guess death is hardcore as well, but
yeah, but that's a nasty thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe we will like look into some of these campaign books. Or there's so many of them, but maybe we can look at one that looks super cool or something.
I remember what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Oh, this is what I had to do with because, as you were saying that, like, because it potentially would be super fun to do one, but the issue with that is that one of us would have to game master.
Yeah, we'd have to get more people.
Yes, yeah, or we'd have to. So if we wanted to play these characters, we'd have to have the third party person be game mastering.
Well,
but
maybe we could like find someone who is like on Fiverr or something.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Interestingly enough, when I was doing a bunch of those surveys and playtests and whatnot, one of the things that I did was a D&D. It was for a D&D website that these people were making.
Oh yeah.
They like wanted some research and development, like clicking through and survey answers about it. But basically, what it was like you offer up like your services like that. Like if you're a DM. And you have like the ones they had were like the Walking Dead role playing game and like D&D and Call of Cthulhu, and they can like be like, hey, we're doing a session that needs 4 people. Like you can sign up here. So I think it works the opposite way too. And I think I have credits that they gave me, like $25 in credits they gave me. So
you should check that out. See if there's a Star Wars one on there.
Potentially.
And maybe even someone's doing like this old version of it too. Like
that'd be crazy.
Because I know they still like republished this book, maybe like the revised version that came out a year later or whatever, but like as like a the classic role playing game.
Oh well, yeah, maybe then. I guess I don't know about like the little subsects of Star Wars communities that exist because I'm still learning about the whole big Star Wars community.
Hey, I'm not the biggest. Most knowledgeable about the community or anything. I don't really interact with too much like Star Wars stuff online, or certainly not like conventions or things like that. But I don't say that in a way where like certainly not. Like I wouldn't debase myself by going. I just have never done that.
We're going to Star Wars Con for the podcast this year, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Don't we have a panel?
Yeah, they wanted BCB.
Hey.
BCB PC.
Podcast.
Well, that's cool. We should look into that and maybe look for one of these campaign books that looks particularly cool or something.
Worst case scenario. And no promises on it, but if we had a couple willing people who did want to try it, I may, if I look into the game master side of it and it's not too intensive, I may be interested in like running one for fun. That could be fun.
Oh man, I feel like you would be so good at coming up with a little like Star Wars adventure story. That would be really fun.
But I mean, obviously no promises.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking you to do that, but I think you would be good at. Isn't this so sick? Standard Imperial Star Destroyer TIE Fighter complement. This is on page 27 of the source book, and it's just showing you like one wing on each Star Destroyer has a squad of 72 TIE Fighters, 6 squadrons in each wing. This is how many like regular TIE Fighters, recon, interceptors, and bombers. And then there's 3 flights in each squadron. And like, oh boy, that's so sick.
Man, I wonder what came first, like the chicken or the egg in regards to, I mean, I know, so this material was released before Heir to the Empire, right?
Yes.
But just like on the cutting room floor, I wonder if like the political and more like, even when it comes to like the war sequences, they're much more technical in Heir to the Empire than like obviously a movie could showcase, but like so far in that regard, anything else I've seen in Star Wars. Um, so I wonder if like the books are like that because there's so much good information that he had to pull from that it sort of just naturally was imbued in the tone, or he also just like that's his style too. I don't know what else he's written.
Yeah, he has written other sci-fi books that have nothing to do with Star Wars, so I'd be curious if he was very into like the technical readouts of stuff like that or the nuts and bolts of how things work in non-Star Wars related things.
Yeah,
So.
man, I would love to, at some point when I've got the free time, check out one of his non-Star Wars books to see because I think I really like him as a writer, but I also don't know.
And I wonder if those non-Star Wars books are maybe a little less hand-holdy. I wonder if that's intentional in the Star Wars book because they knew that it's kind of like, yeah, adults will read this, but also just by virtue of it, kids will read it and they need to understand it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, I haven't read a book like this in a while where it will like beat you over the head with the same information over and over again just to like make sure that you've got it.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's fine.
They really do that a lot.
To me, it's helpful sometimes though, especially for Star Wars jargon. So I guess I am somewhat appreciative of it, but
I forget everything, so I don't mind. Yeah. I'm like, oh, great. That's right. I remember that.
Really, yeah. Like every chapter a reminder.
Well, anything else about the role-playing game, or you want to briefly talk about the Assault on Hoth board game?
I do just want to mention, and it is important for Dietrich since he is force sensitive. And I don't know if we mentioned like the Jedi Force and Dark Force point system.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was like a cool mechanic to the game where if like you use the Force for evil or greed or anything like that, like you could potentially, up to your GM's discretion, get a Dark Force point. And if you get enough of those, it was like in the GM section, it was like, be careful giving these out to players. Like make sure that they really deserve it and they really did an action that's deserving of a Dark Force point because otherwise they'll lose the character and they'll quickly see the character turn into a villain. And it's no fun to watch a character you love turn into a villain. There's like this little section just about like you don't want someone you love to like fade away like that.
Naturally, over the course of the role-playing game, we get attached to our characters.
Yes, yeah. It's a really like funny little section, which like these people they know role-playing people, I think, too, because people do get attached to their characters a ton, but it's just a really funny addendum you have to add in there where the GM is like, okay, if this is your first time doing any role-playing, just know
that people might get mad at you if you make their character turn evil.
Yes.
But also, like, if they are, like, killing people with the Force or whatever, they're doing evil things. So,
dude, I literally also bet you this was an issue for a lot of players who maybe first picked this up as their first role-playing game. Because, like, with D&D, I think people when they first play have a tendency to be like, I can really do anything in this world? Okay. I'm going to punch people. I'm going to hit things. Like, I'm going to just be like, I'm going to go stab and take what I want. And it, like, becomes boring and doesn't end well. And it's like, usually that's how you die. Your character dies.
Yeah, because it's like, well, okay, well, the city is going to react to that realistically.
And it's like, okay, now we can't do storytelling or anything like narratively because you would go to jail. Or just die.
So all the other characters are standing there while you get approached by 12 guards or something.
Yeah, but so I imagine, though, like teens who are playing a role-playing game for the first time, don't really have any, like, instincts of it, coming in, getting to play one of the coolest franchises, Star Wars, get a lightsaber, you're in a planet in a scenario, I feel like it'd be very tempting to be like, I mow them down with the lightsaber, like, or I force blast them off the cliff, just like things like that. So I could see it being an issue.
I mean, you're right. I probably would have done that if I was like 7 or 12 playing this. Like,
well, even as I was looking through some of the Force abilities, I was trying to think like, oh, what are some creative ways you could like utilize the Force abilities to get yourself more money in this game if you were like a player. But then I saw it even says like the greed thing is pointed out. Like you cannot use the Force for like monetary gain like that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's pretty specific about it. It's like, okay, these things are like blatantly evil.
Yeah.
These things are like not really noble, but not evil. So like you lose a force point, but you don't get a dark force point.
Yes.
And, like these things are nice, and they like healing people. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I liked how there was also like just one of the was the not evil but still you lose force point section called the unheroic deeds.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Some of those were just like fleeing the battle, which is just like saving yourself only.
Right.
Funny stuff like that.
Yeah, because I guess theoretically, if you're a Jedi, you're supposed to be protecting everybody.
Yeah. Well, unless you're a failed Jedi.
True. Then you don't give an F and you say, "Where's the whiskey?" Did you read his quote?
No, I didn't.
his quote on the character sheet was like, "Kids, kids, no, I can't train you. Where's the whiskey?"
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty funny.
Um,
Can't wait to meet that character.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. Okay, so the last thing we'll talk about today is the Assault on Hoth board game. It's called the Adventure board game, actually. Also released by West End Games. Also made by Paul Murphy, who is one of the guys who wrote on the source book. We played this game via the... is it called? It's called Board Game Simulator, right?
It's actually called Tabletop Simulator.
Really? Okay.
I only know that because I kept trying to look up Board Simulator like in my search function, and I could not get the app to show up. And I was like, did I not download it?
No, you're definitely right. But now it's just bothering me because
I'm telling you with 100% certainty that it's Tabletop Simulator.
I believe you. Okay.
You're still opening Steam.
No, I'm quitting it. Okay, yes, we played it on Tabletop Simulator because even a used version of this goes for like over $100 on eBay. It's like a miniatures war game. One person's the Empire, one person's the Rebels. It was pretty fun. I mean, I got some things to say about it, I guess, but what did you think?
Yeah, it's like a hexagonal combat grid style game. I was the Imperials, you were the Rebels.
Yes.
Which there is like differences between the two in like the minis that you get, which there's like I had ATs, you had the what are they called?
Snow speeders.
Pretty fun game. Yeah, took me like a second to lock on to like the rolling metrics of it, but yeah, once I started getting that and we got on a roll, it was like pretty entertaining. I will say I think there's a slight issue with like the turn mechanic of it because it did seem like there were certain periods where like you would just make a move and then you'd make 5 moves before like it got to an opportunity where like the other player could make a move, and then like there were instances where like you immediately had annihilated my ATSC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I only had one, I think, in the beginning. And so that made the ATST move card, when it popped up in the deck, useless.
Right.
So it was like a null Imperial card. So that's my only critique of the game, though. Other than that, I think it's like a pretty simple, fun game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is definitely like too luck-based in that way. But I also... I don't know. There's a little bit of interesting strategy to it where you'd be like, oh, okay, like I get Snowspeeder's move right now, but I'm kind of gambling on whether or not Snowspeeder's attack is going to come up soon. So like, if I get that next card, great. But if you get like move walkers, move troops, attack with troops before I can move my Snowspeeders, well, maybe I put them in a vulnerable position and they're stuck there.
And we have only played once, so it's possible that experience is not one that would happen every single time. Like maybe this was just like an anomalous one where there was a bunch of Imperial cards together, but I don't know. I had felt, a bunch of Rebel cards together. But yeah, I had felt at times like, because I remember halfway through I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the shield generator on the other side of the
Yeah,
map that I
yeah.
need to even take out because it feels like we're not getting to AT movement cards. But I do also get your point because something about like role playing games and like D&D even that like I don't think is a perfect mechanic is when it comes to combat, just like the we roll for our initiative and then that determines the order, but then the order just stays the same for like 10 rounds of combat.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
combat doesn't really work like that. There's like a little more.
There could be a thing for initiative like each round or whatever, which
Well,
a lot of miniatures war games do have. But
yeah, I was gonna say I think D&D 3 is like that, or it had like a method like that built in where you would re-roll your initiative before every new combat round. But I think in that instance it just takes too long. So there's probably a happy medium here, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was imperfect, but there is an interest to it. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I think just maybe the balance might be slightly off. Like even that in theory of the luck based, like when your turn happens and stuff, I kind of like the tension that provides of like, oh, it might be a long time before I get to shoot with these guys again. But I think maybe just the balance of the deck was a little off or something.
Maybe also if there were more cards, because so what were those cards called that we were pulling?
There was the action cards and then the events
So
cards.
so if there were more action cards, so the way you get to an event card is like you pull an action card that says pull an event card.
Yeah.
If there were more action cards that let you pull more event cards, I think that may fix the problem a little bit too. And then also you could probably add a few events that are, um, I don't know what was in there. I don't know if it was just that Rebel forces leave, and then also Rebel reinforcements and Imperial reinforcements. But if they added like one or two things there, it could be cool too.
I
Like
think
make the game
there
feel more
were.
lively.
I think there were more that we didn't get to. Like a use the force one where like I don't know, Obi-Wan helps you for 1 second or something, and there's probably a similar one for the Imperials in there. Yeah, I guess full disclosure, we didn't even finish the game because it just like crashed on us while we were probably 80% through the game and didn't feel like starting over. So
Yeah, you had 5 Rebel units you needed to get out of there, and you had 3 of them gone. Was it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goal for the rebels is to send all the transports away, and yeah. You essentially just pull cards from this action deck and then reshuffle it every time you go through. And yeah, that's it, really.
And then Imperial is making their trek across the board to get to the shield base generator, right?
Yeah. But the thing I wanted to say about it that is something I think it does well and is a really cool thing that's probably not unique to Star Wars board games. I'm sure that, because I know there's war games before this, Axis and Allies or whatever, probably a ton of stuff that I'm not familiar with. But the feeling of, I don't know if they got it perfectly in this one, but the balance between Rebels and Imperials, and this is the case in many Star Wars board games going forward, where one side is the Rebels and the other is the Imperials, where the Imperials have the feeling of like, okay, my tactic is I have a huge army and I'm going to overwhelm the slightly lesser powered force by sheer number of like intimidation and firepower, and like whether or not that game had that perfectly balanced, I think it did have that feeling. And then on the rebel side, you win by having individual heroes stand up, or by tactics of annoying you, hit and fade type of things, running in, getting a little shot, running away. So being the underdog, but like sneakily, tricksterly winning, like versus like just power on the Imperial side, which I think a lot of future games, board games specifically, will continue to like have that feeling and refine it.
Yeah, I think that was there too for sure. Yeah, you had hit my AT-ATs a bunch of times too, but I don't think one even went down, right? They were all just sort of on the cusp of death. Or did you
I
take
think I
down
got
one?
one down. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, true. I remember because as I was role playing in my head, all the guys were like, "Oh my god, and AT-ATs can fall. They can go down. No." It was a really terrifying sight for them on the field of battle.
It was an inspirational moment for my guys.
For us,
hey, an AT-AT can go down.
Yeah,
that was
true.
Wow, isn't it insane how the same words with a different tone can mean something so different?
Poignant.
Yeah, thank you. Poignant?
Yeah, poignant. Was it a new word for you?
No, it's just, I think it's pronounced poignant.
I said poignant.
That's okay.
I've always said poignant. I'm not going to stop. Even if you're correct, I'm not going to stop.
I'm not telling you to stop.
It's poignant to me.
Okay, that's fine.
What did you say?
Poignant.
I hate that. I fucking hate that. I think it's awful. Poignant.
Okay, well, see, that makes me have a little reaction too. So, I mean, I think it's just, probably regional. Probably in Virginia they say poignant.
Yeah, it's my Northern Virginian accent.
Yeah. Pretty cool game though.
Yeah.
I like that the walkers can carry troops, and if I hit them while the troops are in there, all the troops die. That was cool.
Oh my god, I know. And the game's cool. It makes you put yourself in the position of like being on that battlefield in a sense, Like
on a grand scale, well, you're kind of like General Veers, and I'm kind of like Admiral Riken.
Okay, yeah, sure, those guys.
General Riken at the time, I guess.
Oh wow, okay, good for him.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. But I remember that moment too when you took out that AT-AT. The turn before I had just taken my guys off of that AT-AT unit, so I was like, oh my god, I feel so thankful. I just saved all those guys. Like,
okay, get out of here! It's gonna blow. Yeah, dude. I was telling you this the other day, but I was playing Shadows of the Empire. It's an N64 Star Wars game, and it opens with the Battle of Hoth, and you're flying a snowspeeder. And I was just like talking to myself the whole time I was playing, like, okay, we're going around. Like, I'm coming in for another pass with my harpoon.
Hey, well, I don't blame you, and I'm excited to hear that I didn't know there was an N64 Star Wars game, so that's gonna be cool.
There's 4.
I like how when we get to GameCube, is there also like an Empire Strikes Back game? At what point do they stop making Empire Strikes Back games?
Well, this one mostly takes place in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It just starts with that. And they kind of always keep going back to the movies for stuff for certain games. But yeah, the GameCube era is mostly like prequel-based stuff because that's when those were coming out. And then yeah, you get all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Takes place way before, during the originals, in between movies, all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Just seemed like for NES there's an Empire Strikes Back game, for SNES there's an Empire Strikes Back game, and for N64 there's an Empire Strikes Back game.
Well, it's not really an Empire Strikes Back game. It just kind of starts with an iconic moment from Empire Strikes Back. Okay. But I do see your point, and I agree with you.
Okay. Fair.
It is interesting.
Well, but for Assault on Hoth, I would say to people, it's worth trying, actually. I think it's a pretty fun game to play.
I'd really like to play it physically.
Yeah, I think it'd be really fun to have.
And you made the point it would go a lot faster, because in the version we're doing, we got to like pan across the screen to go over to the cards, and then like, what is this again? I have to move my camera to look at the stats of this, when like in real life you just memorize all that stuff really quickly. And
I'm avoiding using any key commands to do things, so I like to just click on the screen instead.
Yeah.
It takes longer though.
It does. But it would be fun. So if somebody wants to buy that for us, that would be nice.
Man, didn't we ask for Star Wars Outlaws for your last episode?
Yeah, we did. All right, so thanks for listening. You got any other closing thoughts about anything we talked about today?
I would just like to say I also want Star Wars Outlaws, but if you bought it for me at this moment, kind viewer, very kind listener, viewer, I don't know. Anyway, I would like Star Wars Outlaws 2, but I wouldn't be able to play it yet. So just keep that in mind. If you are like going to get it for me as a listener of this podcast, feel free to wait until it's maybe on sale because I need to wait a little bit.
Okay, well, hey, I'll say the same thing, even though it won't be spoilery for me. I wait till it's on sale. Don't spend $70 on that game.
That's kind of you.
Yeah.
You do have a big heart.
I'm mostly saying
always says you don't have a big heart. Everyone always says it.
Most people think I'm small-minded and corrupt, but I'm actually nice.
That's
I'm like Gorp Cinderhat.
Most people say you're small-minded and corrupt.
Yeah.
Why do they say that?
Like,
can you think of any actions you've done that would make people sort of those are like damning things.
I guess I was just saying, like, trying to get people to like buy things for me.
Yeah.
It was like a little bit corrupt.
Okay.
Even though, Okay.
Do you have anything else to say about Star Wars?
I was gonna say what we're doing next episode.
Don't let me stop you.
Okay. Well, next episode, it will be pretty freaking epic because we're talking. Okay. Ryan just put his sunglasses on. We'll be talking Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire, the first book in the Thrawn trilogy.
5-hour episode, honestly.
I mean, that's fine with me if it ends up being like that because I got plenty to say about it. It's freaking sweet. I can't wait to talk about it.
Dude, I honestly, maybe it's crazy. It might be like my favorite Star Wars thing that we've touched so far. Maybe that's crazy. I don't know.
I personally wouldn't say that, but I don't think that it's crazy.
I think it's just through virtue of living in it the longest, though.
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
Because it's like, of anything, I've spent the most time with that now.
Right, and because you've only seen the original movies one time, like, because I feel like in my head, I've had the movies for 20 years, even though, time spent with the book may be about as long as time spent with the movie. Probably not even, but it doesn't matter. But I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? I mean, in my head, it's like, it'll be like, yesterday I'll be like, Empire of the Strikes Back's my favorite. But then today I'll be like, but Heir to the Kingdom's, or is this Heir to the Empire's so good.
It's really good. It's really cool. And I think it's really important for Star Wars history as well. So there'll be some interesting behind the scenes things to talk about as well. And then if we have time, this one kind of missed me on my initial writing of the list because I thought it was just a supplement for the role-playing game, but it's actually a separate board game, Escape from the Death Star. This is the
Were you like two stormtroopers as Luke's about to blow the Death Star up to get out? What is it?
No, we play as like Luke, Leia, or Han, and we have to get out.
Okay.
It's like when you're disabling the tractor beam and getting the Millennium Falcon out.
Yeah.
There.
And then you said this was a board game.
Yes, it is.
So is this one? I don't know much about Tabletop Simulator, but like, have people just uploaded like everything into there? Like, is this in there presumably?
It is. It is on there. Yeah, I don't know about like everything, but like pretty much every Star Wars thing because it's popular enough that and any board game I've ever looked up on there, they have had it.
Man, there's like a very old X-Men game that I always wanted to take a look at too. Maybe I'll have to see if that's on there.
I almost can guarantee you that it is.
That'd be fun.
So yeah, maybe we'll throw this in there too, but definitely the bulk of the episode will be Heir to the Empire. And then I also want to talk about what Lucasfilm is doing during this period of time, George Lucas is getting up to when he's not really doing much Star Wars stuff.
Check in with George while other people have been working on his IP.
Yeah, but I mean, even what we're doing, like we can see how the density has fallen off because, like, 83 Return of the Jedi, 84 and 83 we get a ton of video games, 84 the two cartoons, or 85 the cartoons, 84 the movie, 85 movie, then role-playing game 87, Heir to the Empire 91. So like there's a period of time where it's just campaign books for the role-playing game is really the only stuff being released. And then Heir to the Empire kind of booms it all back again.
Good. I'm ready for the floodgates to open. I'm ready to see what we got on the other side of the horizon.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll trying to think of like a Star Warsy way to say we'll catch you later.
Well, they're the Womp Rats, right?
Yeah.
We can like do the Womp.
We'll blast you later.
Yeah.
You survived this time.
Yeah, we survived this canyon run, Womp Rats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we'll get you scurried into your little hole before we shot you this time.
Yes.
Well, the sunglasses are back on, so that means we're signing off.
Yeah.
All right.